The Abandoned Mansion. Tom, Emma, and Daniel were adventurous friends who decided to rent a vast old mansion for a weekend of excitement. They discovered the Airbnb listing for the mansion, which had a warning about its history, a former sanatorium known for its questionable medical practices. However, they dismissed it as mere superstition. The mansion stood like a forgotten relic from another era, its imposing facade cloaked in ivy, and its windows boarded up with rotting wood. As they approached, the air grew colder and the sense of isolation was palpable. A shiver ran down their spines, but their sense of adventure spurred them onward. Upon entering, they were met with an oppressive silence, broken only by the echoes of their footsteps on the worn marble floors. Dust-covered furniture, draped in tattered sheets, bore witness to the mansion's faded grandeur. Flickering candlelight cast long, eerie shadows along the cavernous hallways as they ventured deeper into the heart of the mansion. On the first night, they decided to play a game of hide-and-seek to explore the sprawling estate. They moved stealthily through dimly lit rooms, their breaths shallow with anticipation. Yet as they navigated the labyrinthine corridors, they began to hear whispers, faint, chilling murmurs that seemed to emanate from the very walls. The whispers grew louder, weaving a tale of torment and suffering that filled the air. Shadows danced eerily, and spectral figures clad in archaic clothing flitted at the edges of their vision. Panic surged through them as they realized they were not alone. In the grand hall, they were confronted by the apparitions. Gaunt and tormented souls trapped in a never-ending loop of their final moments. Frozen in fear, Tom, Emma, and Daniel watched as the spirits reenacted their tragic fates, their anguished cries echoing through the mansion. It was a nightmarish scene of despair and sorrow that sent shivers down their spines. Realization dawned upon them that they had unwittingly stumbled into a place where the past refused to remain buried. Morning brought a fleeting sense of relief, but the mansion's dark secrets continued to haunt them. They decided to leave, packing their bags with haste. As they stepped beyond the mansion's imposing doors, the atmosphere lightened and the echoes of suffering faded. Still, the memories of that nightmarish encounter lingered, forever etched in their minds. Tom, Emma, and Daniel vowed never to underestimate the warnings of an Airbnb listing again, especially when it came to ancient, enigmatic structures with a history drenched in horror. Lakeside Nightmare. David and Michelle yearned for a romantic lakeside retreat and found a charming cabin on Airbnb. The cabin was nestled near the serene waters of a picturesque lake, and the listing promised tranquility and natural beauty. Little did they know, the lake held ancient secrets that would soon awaken. Upon their arrival, the idyllic setting welcomed them with open arms. Tall trees framed the cabin, and the lake's crystal-clear waters sparkled in the sunlight. It was a scene straight out of a postcard, and they felt the stresses of their daily lives melt away as they unpacked and settled in. The first day was filled with laughter and relaxation as they explored the surrounding nature. They swam in the lake, hiked through the woods, and watched the sunset paint the sky with brilliant hues of orange and pink. It was a day they would cherish forever. As the sun dipped below the horizon on their first night, they decided to create a cozy atmosphere by lighting a crackling fire in the cabin's fireplace. The warmth and soft glow of the flames enveloped them, creating a sense of intimacy. However, as the evening progressed, they couldn't help but notice a subtle shift in the atmosphere. The tranquility of the forest was disrupted by strange sounds, rustling leaves, distant footsteps, and the faintest of whispers that carried on the wind. At first, they dismissed these sounds as the mere quirks of a remote natural setting. However, as the nights went on, the disturbances became more pronounced and unsettling. One morning, they awoke to discover that the furniture in the cabin had been rearranged during the night. Chairs and tables had been moved haphazardly, and personal belongings had been placed in odd locations. It was disconcerting, but they tried to rationalize it as the work of their restless imaginations. On another night, the television inexplicably turned on by itself, its flickering screen casting eerie shadows throughout the room. They exchanged uneasy glances, feeling as though an unseen presence watched them from the shadows. The cabin's atmosphere grew heavy with an otherworldly presence. One evening, as Michelle prepared dinner in the dimly lit kitchen, she heard a faint voice, a whisper that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. It was unintelligible, a jumble of words that sent a shiver down her spine. She called out to David, but he had heard nothing, and she tried to brush it off as a trick of her imagination. As the days passed, the unsettling incidents continued to escalate. Items went missing only to reappear in strange places. The cabin's windows, which had remained tightly shut, would suddenly fly open in the middle of the night, allowing the chilling night air to rush in. Michelle woke up one night to see a shadowy figure standing at the foot of their bed, its form obscured by darkness. She screamed, and David awoke with a start, but when they turned on the lights, there was nothing there. Tension hung in the air as they grappled with these inexplicable phenomena. They began to doubt their own sanity and questioned whether the isolation of the cabin had played tricks on their minds. Yet the mounting evidence of the supernatural couldn't be ignored. Desperate for answers, they decided to contact the cabin's owner, hoping for an explanation. Mr. Holloway, a reclusive figure who had handed them the keys upon their arrival, answered their call with an eerie calmness. He acknowledged the cabin's history of unexplained occurrences, hinting at a malevolent force that resided in the area. Mr. Holloway offered little solace, instead providing them with a set of old-fashioned keys and directions to a back entrance of the cabin. He suggested they explore the area further and assured them that the cabin's secrets would reveal themselves in time. Reluctantly, they followed Mr. Holloway's instructions, their curiosity battling their growing fear. What awaited them beyond the cabin's walls was a nightmarish revelation. In the depths of the forest, they encountered a dark, stagnant pool of water, its surface covered in a thick layer of algae. An oppressive, eerie silence hung over the area, and a bone-chilling wind seemed to whisper secrets that danced on the edge of hearing. As they watched in horror, the water's surface began to churn, and from its depths emerged a grotesque, otherworldly figure, a twisted, spectral being with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce their souls. Frozen in terror, they could only watch as the creature extended its skeletal hand toward them, its voiceless scream echoing through the forest. They turned and fled, their hearts pounding, the path back to the cabin obscured by a dense, shifting mist that seemed. The closed hotel. Katie and Josh were a couple with an adventurous spirit, always seeking unique experiences. When they stumbled upon an old, historic hotel listed on Airbnb, they couldn't resist the allure of its past and decided to book a stay. The hotel had a checkered history with rumors of mysterious deaths dating back over a century, but this only piqued their curiosity. Upon arriving at the hotel, they were greeted by an eerie silence that hung in the air like a heavy fog. The hotel's exterior appeared grand, yet it was in a state of disrepair. The wooden floorboards creaked under their feet as they stepped inside, and dust motes danced in the dimly lit foyer. An unsettling feeling washed over them, but they brushed it off as nerves. The hotel's owner, a reclusive man named Mr. Holloway, greeted them with an air of somber hospitality. He mentioned the hotel's rich history, omitting the darker details. As they settled into their room, Katie and Josh couldn't help but notice the peculiar atmosphere that seemed to linger. Whispers of long-forgotten conversations seemed to linger in the corners of their ears, but when they turned to investigate, they found nothing. On their first night, they dined in the hotel's empty restaurant, illuminated only by the soft glow of candlelight. As they savored their meal, the wind outside grew more insistent, and the temperature in the room plummeted. Suddenly, the candles flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. Josh fumbled for his phone to use its flashlight, but it remained curiously dead. In the blackness, they heard what sounded like footsteps approaching their table, accompanied by soft, chilling laughter. Panicked, they stumbled toward the exit and managed to reach the lobby. There, they found Mr. Holloway, who appeared unsurprised by their ordeal. He simply handed them a set of old-fashioned keys, stating that they could access the hotel's back entrance to return to their room. Reluctantly, they followed his instructions and reached their room safely, but unease gnawed at their senses. As the night wore on, they experienced unsettling phenomena: whispers in the walls, shadows that danced without a source, and chilling drafts that swept through the room. At one point, Josh saw the reflection of a ghastly figure in the window, but when he turned around, nothing was there. By morning, they were both sleep-deprived and on edge. They decided to cut their stay short and confront Mr. Holloway. However, when they attempted to leave, the doors wouldn't budge. Panic set in as they realized they were trapped inside the hotel. Days turned into nights, and Katie and Josh became increasingly desperate. The eerie occurrences escalated, culminating in a nightmarish crescendo of ghostly apparitions and disembodied voices that echoed through the hotel's desolate halls. Each day felt like an eternity, and their fear grew exponentially. Finally, on the evening of the fourth day, as they were preparing for another night of terror, the doors inexplicably opened. They wasted no time fleeing the accursed hotel, leaving behind the haunting memories of their stay. Katie and Josh never fully understood the horrors that had unfolded within the hotel's walls, and their lives were forever marked by the sinister events they had endured. To this day, they shudder at the thought of the closed hotel and its malevolent secrets, vowing never to underestimate the warnings of an Airbnb listing again.